So in this case, we have very transient populations, groups of school kids and teachers that are coming through these facilities all the time. And so the feedback in the form of dashboards and things like that, we actually create energy and water budgets for the visiting school groups that are set to, so they have meters that they can see that are set to 0 when they come. They know how much energy and water they're allowed to use in order to maintain the net zero energy objective, and it's up to them to manage it through the life of their stay. And there's lots of feedback all over the place so that they can participate in that. Thought I'd tell you just a little bit about the story of the project. Started with this charrette. We had lots of people involved 6 years ago. And it turned out that land use was the critical issue as we began this project. Lots of heated opinions. And in fact, it ended up being, we got to a point where we just could not make any progress because of the land use issues. We had 2 opposing camps. This is, again, a little cartoon of a part of this 350-acre site where we had kind of restricted the area of development. And the basic problem was there's an existing lodge that sits on a north-facing hill in the woods. Not a great place to capture solar energy. And there was another site inside the circle. You see there's an open area. There's a field that has a good southern orientation. We thought, well, that's a good place to capture solar energy. And so these 2 camps were like, well, we have to build where the existing lodge is. We've already screwed that site up. We want to use this project to restore it. The other camp was, well, we can't do that, because we'll never have enough energy to drive the buildings. And they went back and forth and back and forth. And literally on the very last day of the charrette, we had kind of a breakthrough. It just shows the site. And the breakthrough really was, we ended up in a big circle. About, everybody had put their pencils down, sitting in the circle, talking about exactly what does it mean to build a living building. And one of the architects who had been really heated had gone outside the building, up the hill, in the woods, sat down, steam coming out of his ears, looked down between his legs, he saw this beautiful mound of emerald green moss. And it's like, wow, life happens everywhere, I mean, if we're going to build living buildings, we need to figure out how to do it in the woods, right? And that kind of cracked the group open, and we just had this brilliant conversation. Not every site's going to be ideal. We need to figure out how to build living buildings anywhere. And then, you know what? No site is ideal. We still need to figure out how to build living buildings anywhere. And ultimately, we got to this place that every site is ideal, because life happens everywhere. And so the resolution of that was that we ended up with buildings in both places. And it's a much longer conversation, but the ultimate design occurred on the very last day of this 4-day charrette, and has stood, sure, that's actually what we're building right now. So the buildings are kind of code named now. We've got Moss, which is a new overnight lodge facility, and in this rendering, all the trees have been removed. It actually sits in the woods on this north-facing slope, but its design is all about the celebration of water. And so you can see it's got this upturned roof form, really designed to capture water and bring it down through the building. And then we've got grass, which sits out in an open, sunny field, opens its arms wide. It's got a big roof plane. It's all about capturing solar energy. And it's prompted much more work on this piece of property with the foundation and how they can think about the entire property as a living system, and these buildings as a piece of it. So a little aerial of the entire site. There are other components to this. I wanted to mention we've got about 1,000 feet of boardwalk that's going through an emergent wetland as part of the program for education. We've got the array out in the field. The first phase of this actually is completed, and that was a restoration of the Potomac shoreline along the foundation's property. They have about 2,800 feet of shoreline that had been severely eroded over the years, principally because of development. So the discharge of stormwater from all the development in the DC area that comes charging down the river after a storm event hits that turn, and it's just washing the shoreline away. So they're actually, a living shoreline is actually a design technology which uses a system of weirs and both subsurface and on-surface weirs and dikes, as well as lots of native vegetation to restore. You can see the before and after images of that site. We've got the Grass Days Education Center, the Moss Overnight Lodge, and classroom building. We also have sleeping cabins that are out in the woods. I should say, these images, one of the benefits of having to wait so long is, and we've got this heavily wooded site that has lots of trees on it that have come down over a 6-year period. And we have taken every single tree that's come down off to a local sawmill and had it sawn and have it stored on site. So an awful lot of the